this the right way. When you ask the state for permission for option H, will you commit to doing the same vigorous analysis of Wootton as a holding school, just as you did for Crown? Because when you asked for permission from the state to use Crown as a holding school, MCPS submitted a third-party independent study on the viability of Crown as a holding school. This report concluded that Crown is the ideal holding school space. In the interest of doing things the right way, can you commit to doing a study on the comparable viability of Wootton as a holding school so we can finally understand the impact analysis on transport, traffic, the environment, and so on?
Thank you. I think that that's a great point. We do know that it's viable as a holding school. I appreciate your disagreement, but we do, and as a consequence of that, I think
how do you know though?
Having that follow up, I think is meaningful, and
right,
we're happy to
but Dr. Taylor, how do you know that Wootton is a viable holding school if there's been no third-party analysis?
And this is fun.
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I couldn't hear you. Can you say that again?
Yes, our staff are more than capable of providing that analysis.
Well, would it be possible for us to obtain that analysis through MPIA? Because so far, every time we've tried to get documents from MCPS, they've come back with MPIA requests in the several thousands. And so nobody's been able to see any of that analysis or data.
So we have published our analysis as part of our recommendation.
For Wootton as a holding school?
Yes.
Would you be able to email that to me so I can see it?
It is literally on our board docs. It is our recommendation. It's a multi-page document that outlines the rationale as to why the recommendation is what the recommendation is.
And it has the traffic analysis?
I want to be fair to other people that have questions. I appreciate it. And we can cycle back. So our next question is over here.
So my name is Lum. I have a question. So this is, thank you first, Dr. Taylor, for being here finally. We are looking forward to it since last year, December 1st. And then, so my question is, in one of the virtual meetings, you and also the delegate Lily Chi, and then you were asked about the recommendation, and then you were saying, I quote, ironically, this is something that community begged for last October, but is unhappy with the outcome with where we stand. So I'm just confused, what is the community you are talking about, right? So I just want to get a quick survey. Who was asking? Yeah, sure. I just want to get a code, right? Yeah. How many of you were begging for last year in October? Raise your hands. No, I mean, the question is, no.
So your question, can you just read, so your question for Dr. Taylor?
Yeah. So my question is you were saying last year, October, the community was begging to move to Chrome, right? But clearly that's not in this community, majority of this community. I just want you to clarify which community was that, and then how that community can represent us.
Yeah. We heard a ton of testimony and received a lot of emails about the condition of the facility at Thomas Wootton High School and how there was a request to get out of this building or to upgrade this building to public record. So, and I recognize that you may not have been asked on, but at the same time, there are a lot of emotions tied to the facility condition of this building. So I will say that we heard loud and clear that the facility condition of this facility was not meeting the community's expectation. It doesn't meet our expectation. That is very sure.
Okay. Our next question, is it over here?
Dr. Taylor, I appreciate your being here and your willingness to communicate. You mentioned the birth rate, and I just want to make sure that option H factor in the Montgomery County's high migration rate. Even birth rate may be going down, I don't know, I don't have that information, but our population remain active because people are moving in. And I want to ensure the proposal you have reflects this reality in the next 5 or even 10 years. Because close the school, or you can relocate and reopen the school, that's a big decision and has big impact on the community. Thank you.
And our vision of the future is a lot clearer, closer in, and a lot hazier looking out. I think that that's just about everybody. I will say that everything that can be done can also be undone. And that having a facility in your portfolio to expand is a good thing to have. It absolutely is. And should there be changes in the enrollment patterns, having an extra facility to make those changes is absolutely a great idea. I don't think that that's likely given what we're looking at, but at the same time, you know, we need to be sensitive to it, and we need to have a plan that allows for that. So that's a great point. And the transiency in our county is real. Whether or not that translates into children all the time, more recently, less, but historically, yes.
Okay.
Yes, the right.
Not entirely sure I picked up on that. My role in this is to evaluate the circumstances, make a recommendation on the best fit. I feel like I've done that. Thank you for your thoughts.
Okay, where is our next mic? Is it over, it's over here.
Yeah. Do I get up? Okay. Okay, so as a student at Wootton, I just want to say I'm completely in line with option H, and I would like to have option H. If you go around the school, you'll see mold. They're trying to paint over the mold in the locker rooms. There's HVAC systems inside the locker rooms that are continuously pumping out water from the locker rooms because that water is producing mold. And I just want to say the school environment is not completely safe for occupation.
Real quick, you have a question? No. Okay, good.
Okay. So our next question is
Dr. Taylor, hi. I have a son who's a sophomore and an uprising freshman. And my question for you is, can you explain to the room the difference between the reason why you ultimately decided to use Wootton as a holding school versus Crown? Specifically, are there any reasons legally or financially that you decided that Wootton should be the holding school? And for everyone in the room, if everyone got their way and Crown was a holding school, how long would we have to wait before there was money for us renovations? Would it be the next CMP cycle in 2033 that our kids would have to wait?
Yes. So real quick, two kind of piggyback questions. One I've kind of answered before, but I'll set the stage for context and just say this. The genesis behind which should be the holding school or not was to try to utilize the newer facility with students as quick as possible. In terms of waiting, you know, I hate to put this on anybody else, but it really is dependent on funding. And candidly, the way that our projects are lined up, the backlog is very, very significant. Now, Wootton is at the top. This facility is at about the top of the list, but the top of the list is still 8 years away.
40 years. I've lived here for 40 years. How can you say it's still on the top? Top of 40
Okay,
years.
okay. I
So-
understand everyone's very passionate. Let's
I think
listen to Dr.
I
Taylor.
think you're looking at a very long time horizon when the reality is that the catch-up that's necessary is billions of dollars of catch-up because we've let it slide for so long that projects have kind of just accumulated for quite a while that we need to really just expend a really significant amount of money just to bring us back up to par.
Okay, and then
Hi,
our next question.
I'm Dr. Barbara Hirsch. I have 2 children that graduated, 2011 and 2013, Dr. Taylor. Are you aware, and please answer this, of what happened when the sidewalks were installed, going to Frost?
No, I'm not.
I'll tell you. Montgomery County, Maryland installed sidewalks to cut down on the number of buses. So our students, our children, could walk from the Willows. Lois Levinson led the fight because the sidewalks were not her regulations. Montgomery County came to install sidewalks specifically so students could walk to school. But it failed because the sidewalks were not built to specifications. So the sidewalks were installed and they still had the buses. So you please tell me what facts you have used to show me the safety of all of these students walking to class. Please show me the studies that prove that all of those sidewalks and whatever you want, crosswalks, were built to the standards of safety. Because the sidewalks weren't. Also, Dr. Taylor, are you aware of the history of Lakewood Elementary School when it was torn down and rebuilt, Dr. Taylor? Are you aware of that?
Yes.
I am one of those parents. We spent a year and a half going to a holding school. It didn't kill us. Here we are. You can do the same. Tear down Wootton, rebuild it, use Crown as a holding school, and let Wootton remain Wootton. I'm not a public speaker and I'm petrified, but I'm mad. My 2 kids graduated from here. This
Okay,
is a
I'm
community
sorry.
school.
Do you have you put out 2 questions, I think. So let's stick with that, Dr. Taylor.
So at the risk of being slightly redundant, no, I don't have confidence in every aspect of every corner of every sidewalk in Montgomery County.
You remember the kid that was killed?
Yeah.
Where did he go?
Yeah, I'm well aware. So
I
what I
would
can
love
communicate to
to
you
give Dr. Taylor his time.
is that per our policy, what constitutes a walk zone here and what constitutes a walk zone in a neighboring school can be accounted for. Do I think that there's a lot of room for improvement? Absolutely.
Okay. So our next question.
Contract means that I often have to be moved to a different work location. I often work sitting on the floor, in the stairwells, in the basement. I have used several sick days this year because I am so uncomfortable that I cannot stay and work the full school day because of the heat. Several of my students have, in the middle of our conversations that are often very intense, stopped themselves and said, I just can't think. It is so hot in here. I'm hoping that we move to Crown. This is a very specific question now. In the event that the Board of Education does not move us to Crown, I'm wondering if you could share your estimate about how long it would take for MCPS to repair the HVAC system and ensure that there's proper ventilation in the school counseling office in this building.
I would have to go back and take a look at when it is next up in the systemics. Part of the challenge is that it would likely need to be on a multi-phased approach if we didn't have an alternate location to house students for the project to be done. So even if the project was like in the queue for next year, and even if it was fully funded and we had, you know, the 25 to 30 million dollars it would take to replace it and fix it, you still would have the protracted timeline of not being able to do it all in one fell swoop, which is the pain point.
Okay, let's take our next question, which is right here.
Yes, I'm Robin Ficker. I've put a number of charter amendments on the ballot and run for offices and been to all the communities in the county at one point or another. What strikes me about Wootton is that it is a fabulous, largely Asian American community. Is there a feeling on the school board that mediocrity knows nothing higher than itself, that the Asian American community should be broken up? I see these little kids from this community in the shopping carts at Costco reading their books while their parents are shopping. Is there discrimination against the Asian American community?
I find that very difficult to believe if the school community was moving, that there was any discrimination or any intent, and especially moving to a new facility. If anything, there might be criticism that there might be favoritism.
Okay, our next question is over here.
You need to explain that.
It might be good to take a breather. We're going to talk about an elementary school for a second. I'm here representing Stonemill Elementary, and recently the Board of Education voted to defeat Julie Yang's resolution that Stonemill Elementary School continue to articulate to Captain John Middle School, as it has for over 30 years. This resolution would have allowed Stonemill to then articulate to Wootton High School as a combined student cohort with Trevilla Elementary School. And in your current recommendation, Stonemill will be reassigned to Hoover Middle School and will be the only elementary school moving on to Wootton High School. This isolation, as noted by many parents, may provoke many social and mental health challenges for Stonemill's group of approximately 100 students as they assimilate into a Frost community of almost 1,000 students. So at the time of this discussion, you actually made a non-recommended alternative and cited specifically that you had listened to the population through survey feedback, and the original reason cited for sending Stonemill to Hoover was proximity and map continuity as reasons for the original recommendation. Could you please comment on how geographic proximity eventually outweighed the FAA virtue of assignment stability over time, especially when considering that Cavendish and Hoover are 1.3 miles apart?
Oh my gosh, so true. And that's a viable option. I like that option.
I know you did.
I mean, I think it's a viable option. There's no way to avoid split articulation. And anytime that you've got 26 high schools divided by 40 middle schools divided by 137 elementary schools, there's gonna be some split articulation. To your point, it's like, how do you minimize that split articulation in a meaningful way and try to preserve some of that stability in school assignment? And so you're asking specifically about the factors cited in FAA and why one was more dominant than the other in the recommendation, and it really came down to this. We saw that the number one attribute that folks favored was geography, the number two was stability in school assignment, and then the other two options, or the other two factors. So I get it, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I think that there's programmatic reasons to keep it the way that it is that makes sense. I think that the middle school building placement is like the worst.
Ridiculous.
It really is ridiculous. Not really well thought out for the long term. And I can tell you that as a staff, we'd be perfectly happy and could see success with either the recommended option or the alternative, and find that either one of those options is really great.
Okay, so your feedback from the community at large favored proximity, and so you took that feedback.
Yes, in general, yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So our next question is